right, kitty. Love you. There's Linda. You take care, okay? Give me your paw. That's a good kitty. Good kitty. I know you love me. Let go. There we go. That's a good kitty. Okay, calm down. Getting better. All right. Earlier it said 100, but it went down to 97. So I'm gonna guess probably about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, it jumped down to 96. 3,623 miles on the odometer. It is September 18th. It's a Wednesday, and it's 2024, about 4:52. And we're headed off to delivery. All right, 5:17, 9 minutes, 3 miles. About 46 miles yesterday. So the local news, I think coming out of Dallas, probably did quite the story on this place right here, which is University of North Texas Medical Center. With regular day media, I'm not looking at all the proof that they have, so I don't take it as biblical scripture when I hear media. But the story revolves around a veteran that became unclaimed after his death. And the only way they tried to contact his family was through phone calls, which were all disconnected. I guess I don't know how many times they attempted it. Since his body was unclaimed after death, and they could not get a hold of immediate relative through phone call only, supposedly, they sold his body to medical science. And this is something that's under research right now. There's supposedly thousands of cases all around the nation. And I think it's wrong. I don't think they tried to hunt down his family. I think the last name, I don't want to really get into names. I don't want to get into names on this story because, like I said, I don't have all the research on it, but I think that's a wrong thing. This was on the news, I think, 2 nights ago or 1 night ago, and they showed this medical center in the shot, which was University of North Texas. Now, if it's true or not, that's another thing, but supposedly they have paperwork on it. Basically, it was a story about selling an unclaimed person's body after they die to medical science without really trying to hunt down the relatives. They were able to recover most of the body, I think, even though it was parts of his body were shipped off to different places. So like his arm was shipped off for a certain amount. They got money for this. So his arm was like $350 or $300 or something. And then his leg was a certain amount. And so they shipped it all across the different, areas. And that's why I'm not talking about names, because I think it's a sensitive story, but it did make news, and they are doing investigative research on the medical science. And I'm not like a big fan of modern day medical science. I go back historically to think about, or did they think in the Dark Ages that they were advanced, in medical science in the Dark Ages when they were putting leeches on people and things? It's just how I feel. I have kind of a Christian Science aspect of, you have to buy into sickness if you want to. But this is something far beyond that. This is stuff that happens after death, and I was just blown away. So they have many cases. They've done research on it. They're doing reinvestigation on if, they're going to be able to. Now, so sometimes the bodies can be sold for experimental things. And this is like, we're talking about dead bodies. And that was part of the story that was on the local news as well. But they did show this medical center. And it's the University of North Texas one. But they didn't mention it was Fort Worth, but they showed it on the sign. They did mention that the guy was from Dallas. So if a Dallas medical facility was really involved, and they're trying to kind of shift up the story a little bit and kind of put the blame on necessarily University of North Texas Medical Center, I don't know. But it was a very spooky story, and it kind of made me feel uncomfortable. And the man he ended up, he was a veteran, so he was in the military. He did go crazy, and he ended up being displaced basically on the streets, and that's where, I guess eventually he died in Dallas. And then my big story, the big thing that I don't understand is, after they sold his body to different facilities, not just this one but different ones supposedly, wherever they shipped his body, how did they finally get a hold of the family is the mysterious aspect of the story. They finally got in touch with the family and said, oh, well, we just want to let you know that we shipped your relative to different parts of the country. We basically cut them up into pieces and shipped them across different parts of the country. We just want to let you know that. And so that's whenever lawyers were called, and they eventually had to gather him up and bury him. He's buried in one spot though now. Anyway, it was a story a couple of days ago on local news. And I don't want to mention any names because, for one thing, I didn't do the personal research on it. I just got it from the news. So, and also it's an alma mater of mine, University of North Texas. Not the medical center, just the theater arts. We usually just write about them and then, write about people and then, reenact them on stage. But theater arts rarely comes across, well, maybe puppetry is about as close as we get to dead bodies, maybe, I don't know. It was a really creepy story. Well, I don't know. Headlights are off. Just a reminder. I watched the Nick Johnson. He's a YouTuber, does real estate, and he went to Springfield, Ohio. It's a pretty good one. I don't know. I'm not there making hard evidence decisions, but the rumor on that particular vlog was that supposedly people saw ducks and geese go missing, and there was footage of a cut-up pig, but I don't really know where that one was taken. Meaning, it just looks very strange. The whole entire vlog, it looked very, the whole thing. He did go to the Haitian Community Center or some kind of Haitian outreach thing, and they refused to talk to him. So, and he was kind of run off. It's kind of becoming an investigative journalist a little bit. But I'm glad that some YouTuber got there pretty quick right after the accusations of the cats and dogs. But if I did live there, and which I don't live anywhere near Springfield, Ohio. I'm in Fort Worth, Texas. I would probably keep an eye on my pets for a rumor that way, because I care about my dogs and cats. But I did not know, and till today, because I thought Trump, when I saw the debate, I thought it was just something he came up with. I don't know, but no, it's actually, there are many Haitian communities that have, I guess, been displaced there from Hades, and this horrible situation, they were in Hades. It's just a very hard subject. This is a very hard time for people, but communication-wise, what I saw, and from listening to these citizens of Springfield, well, for one thing, I'll just put it this way: even some of the poorest people there are pretty Republican. But supposedly there's been 30,000 displaced Haitians in one area, and supposedly they're leaving, is what I'm hearing. But they are being nurtured through EBT and things like that, so they are watching over them. The government is. So this is like a big story. It was just released, I think, either today or I think 2 days ago. I got to see it today. It's about an hour long, about 55 minutes or so. And he's just going around asking, about dogs and cats and geese and ducks, ducks that are in duck ponds that have gone missing. All these people are fishing, and they're like, well, we have noticed that many ducks are gone. You'd have to stop the car and ducks would go by, and supposedly there may be some truth going on, even though immediately all the major news broadcast stuff, ABC, NBC, CNN, they're all saying it's hoax. Then you get a YouTuber showing up and you get the community talking, and you're getting real dialogue and hearing people say, hey, we don't see any ducks or geese around the pond anymore. Not a lot of stuff about dogs and cats. That's a sensitive subject because that's actually a big deal, even in society's terms. They're looked upon as like people. A dog and a cat is. They're on kind of like that level. It's like a Stephen King novel. It really is. It's very strange to listen to, and YouTube is different because it's people talking. You can just tell by the way they're talking. But it really is interesting story. And I'm just, I'm what I am for mostly when it comes to politics and stuff. What I mostly represent and what I feel strong about is pro-life. I think we're all survivors, and we're all here for a reason. And all of that stuff about the heartbeat and everything is very important, because once that happens, it's a delicate, sensitive matter. And that's one thing I'll stand behind. I will say that I'm pro-life. And even with dogs and cats and stuff like that too. I think they're voiceless. They're your pet. They don't have a voice. And when something like that happens, and then all of a sudden it makes its presence by this once entertainer, that's a big deal. A guy that supported Mike Tyson, who has looked upon as a huge enemy. And then all of a sudden people go out and start asking questions, and you start going, well, wait a minute. It changes the whole debate. But I hope they have a second debate. But I will stand behind being pro-life. All right, next one is 6:38 arrival, 5 minutes, 2.3 miles. And we're on Rockwood Park. It looks like the ball game's going on again. It'd be quite the vlog if I got to go to one of my kids' ball games, or even get to see them at all, or to be acknowledged as a person and as a parent. It'd be a whole different vlog, whole different story. That goes for anyone. Some construction past Inglewood on Northwood. Going that way. They're really tearing up this road. on that band Elm83 again, and I'm listening to the song Amnesia, which is pretty good. They have another one called Gone. All right, 7:42, 1 minute, 0.3 miles. Looks like a little slug bug. Slug bug and make a wish. Wish I have $1 million by the end of the year. Just a wish. All right, next one's 8 o'clock, 9 minutes, 3.7 miles. All right, that's the end of $1 Million Quartet. The next big challenge for Casa Manana is Cinderella on October 11th. Probably the Andrew Lloyd Webber. Andrew Lloyd Webber. It's kind of hard to say. Andrew Lloyd Webber version, hopefully. So today's band I found today, I don't know what I'll name it, something like that. The band I found today is Slift, S-L-I-F-T. I found them on KEXP Live. They're actually really good. There's times and moments where they sound a little like Jane's Addiction, but they bring in a lot of, I guess it's noise metal. I would guess noise metal. I'm trying to familiarize myself with genre and the type of music, but that's what I'm guessing. I'll look them up later. I always do that. Usually when I do a shout out on a band, a new band, I just mention their name and then I do research on it later. So I found them, I think today, right before the shift. They came on a little KEXP out of Seattle. I don't know where the studio recording was though. Pretty cool little band. Slick. Yeah, usually when I drop this guy's pizza, the dogs are just going crazy. And I guess he put the dogs up, and there was a cat there. But what was funny was the dogs are really rowdy, so there was like this shredded blanket or something, and the cat had this little, it was a ginger cat. He had a little like bandana tied around his neck. He looked all fancy. He was just looking there like, you know, the cat that swallowed the canary. But he didn't do it. I knew the dogs did it. But he was like taking note of me bringing the pizza and kind of looking, you know. Didn't really do anything. Cats don't really care. That's what he was saying. It was like, yeah, the cat doesn't care. But the dogs do. The dogs will sit there and bark up a storm. And you just have to, you know, just patiently wait. The dogs are like, and the cats are, you know, the cat just sits there. It's funny when you see a family with dogs and cats. It's just an interesting thing. I think we had dogs and cats growing up. The dogs were always wild. I remember one time my mom, she was in the backyard, and the dogs were let in. We had these Dalmatians. They were completely crazy. And they were let in, and they went running around, and they had mud on the bottom of their paws because it had rained maybe earlier that day. And they just tracked in mud all over the house, all over the walls, all over the couches. Just completely just, you know, crazy Dalmatians, because they're very hyper dogs. And my mom got upset about it and said, we're gonna live like pigs. But she elongated the word pigs. And my friend Sean was over at the time, was just laughing. And it was weird because I saw that band Pigs ×7. I thought about my mom, and when I saw that band, my mom was quite the character. She actually got involved in acting before me. She did a TCJC stage show where she played a French maid. I found out about this later on when I was a little bit younger, and I met maybe one of the reasons why she got me turned on to theater. And told me my mom was the one. My mom is the reason why I got involved in storytelling and theater and stuff, because she told me about it. But yeah, she got upset. My mom did. She's like, we're gonna live like pigs, because she was you know. She had to clean all that up. The dogs had just tracked it all throughout the house. My mom was a hardworking. She worked for American Airlines for several decades, like 30 years. And it was weird because after September 11th, she was one of the only advantage workers, because that was a department in American Airlines. There weren't many left after September 11th when I came back in 2000. I came back in like the end of 2002, like right before summer when I left New York. She was there with a few others in a corner part of this huge office. So it was an office room. It was this huge room where they worked on the Sabre computer. But she was, you know, she was like a, well, it's like whenever you call in and you book a flight. She was part of the advantage ones. They worked with business people, and there weren't many left. The American Airlines was going under. They survived it though. That was one of the reasons I came back, because I wanted to make sure everything was okay. And they moved to Maine to retire. I wanted to make sure that happened okay. I'm still here though. I did live in Maine for a while. Yeah, it also scared me too, because I could fly free back when I was in New York. So yeah, I was there getting ready for the summer to do maybe summer stock theater right there in New York. I lived like right there along Broadway. I mean, I would have definitely made it into the theater somehow, and I'm still trying to even today, and music too. But, you know, I was like right there where all the action was, right there in New York City. But thinking, well, if American Airlines went under, how would I get back? Because I knew I could just hop on a flight. Because when I talked to Lipton, James Lipton, he's passed away. He did the Inside the Actor Studio. He told me, you know, he said, well, we're just going to suspend you. We're not going to, so I didn't get expelled, so they didn't expel me. So he's like, we're just going to suspend you, go home, get some help, and then come back, whatever. I guess I was too emotional. So I said, okay. And I wasn't really emotional in the interview. I just had a little outburst, little problems. But regardless, he asked me, he said, well, we can cover the flight home. And I said, don't worry about it. My mom works for the airlines. I'll be able to just get on the flight. He was like, okay. And that was pretty much the last time I spoke to James Lipton. It was a good conversation, though. We had a good conversation. He talked, he was very academic. So he offered some philosophies, and I kind of smiled in the middle of the interview, and he said, this is the side of Cole that I want to see, you know, because he wanted me to come back. He wanted me to finish the MFA program for acting. And I told him, well, he told me, he gave me some reading advice. Something to do with a priest and a fool. It was someone wrote this short story or book or something about the priest and the fool, and he wanted me to read it. And I don't know what he was talking about. He didn't hand it to me, so I didn't get the name of the writer, or I didn't really retain it. Maybe if I really deeply thought of it, it was someone like Tolstoy or Kafka or something like that. It wasn't. I don't think it was either of those two. But he offered me this, you know, this reading advice, like to do some reading. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll look at it. I cannot think of that story. I think about it all the time. The Priest and the Fool. I said, you should read that. He was like a proclaimed atheist. Interesting character. 8:31 arrival, 6 minutes, 2.9. Tussle there. Also, eventually I'd like to do shout outs to other vloggers. I watched, I think her name is Linda Gray. She does like abandoned structures. She's done a couple Burger Kings. She did a rail yard. By the way, she's really funny. I don't know if she's trying to be. She's got a northern accent. Lied Wetzel? Anyway, she's hilarious. Looks like maybe they added candy to the tip. So they did that a lot whenever I did Grubhub and stuff like that too, but they would leave it out. It'd be like, let's say like 4 DoorDash delivery or whatever. This is actually a restaurant delivery, but I do appreciate that. That's really nice. I do like these kind of candies.